Shaun, I just want to start by asking the most obvious question. How do you actually get into your profession?
From my point of view, it was by luck and chance as opposed to by design. I graduated from the University of Ulster in Coleraine campus with a business management and French degree, so not really related as such to the industry. I got introduced to an agent when I first moved to London, about maybe 12, 13 years ago now. And I just came on board doing a bit of player liaison stuff, doing all the off-field stuff and learning the ropes as such. So, like I say, I got into it by design more than anything. Nowadays, there's loads of sports management degrees and talent ID stuff with the FA and stuff like that. That it's probably a wee bit more common for younger lads now to maybe go down that route with an aim of getting into the industry longer term.
The agency that you represent is Quorum Sports, and you represent many current and former League of Ireland players. For example, in the Derry City point of view, the agency represents Jordan McAneff. You also helped Ryan Graydon move last year from Derry City to Fleetwood. In your opinion, what makes the League of Ireland an attractive source of talent for clubs in the UK and even foreign?
It's their exposure to men's football at a younger age. Like, obviously, Jordan and Ryan's pathways were slightly different. Jordan being in the Arsenal Academy and Ryan coming through the League of Ireland from a young age. So it's that exposure to men's football from a young age that 21, 22 years of age, players could amass 80, 90, 100 games. Whereas players coming from, Premier League academies, Championship academies, they haven't experienced sort of real football, if you like. That's what attracts the club's eyes to that they've had that exposure from a young age. They're maybe lacking a little bit on the technical ability that you might be more associated with the academy players, but certainly they've got that exposure to men's football. That's the main attraction. The other main attraction then is, especially to English and Scottish clubs anyway, is that obviously Irish passport holders are free to live and work in the UK, and obviously since Brexit, clubs in England and Scotland can't go to the France, Denmark, Spain, Portugal, etc. It's only really at the elite level that we see transfers coming in from those countries. Players need to apply for a GBE, government body endorsement, and it's harder and harder for clubs to recruit in these sort of European markets than it was pre-Brexit.
Issues around Brexit and work permits and visa regulations, is that the reason why teams in Italy and in the continent are now starting to look at young Irish players?
That's it, exactly, yeah. So a young English player doesn't have the ability to go live and work in Italy the same way as they did when they were in the European Union. So, an Irish player can pack up and leave and go across the continent with the European passport. And that's why, a league like Serie B in Italy, for instance, they're not allowed to have non-European Union players playing in the league. So a player maybe, let's say, getting released from an Arsenal that's English born and bred, they'll struggle to get into a league like Serie B, whereas somebody coming out of a UK academy that's got an Irish passport has got that ability to transition straight across.
We're heading towards July 1st, the opening of the summer transfer window. How does the summer transfer window differ from the winter window in terms of activities and opportunities for young Irish players?
Winter can be a bit scattergun, so clubs maybe plugging holes as opposed to doing months and months of research on players. Yeah, in terms of the Irish lads, I always think it's a better opportunity for them because they're in season. Coming across in January, the season's finished in November, and they're in their off season, so it's harder for them to come in and set the ground running. Whereas if a lad was to leave Derry City, for instance, now and transition across, he's fit. He's hopefully going to be the fittest lad there in pre-season when all the rest of the lads are coming off the beach holiday and whatnot. So it gives him a better opportunity to hit the ground running, moving in the summer compared with the January window, in my opinion.
What trends do you foresee in the movement between League of Ireland players going to the UK and Europe over the next few years?
I would say it'll just continue along the same pattern. I mean, sort of since Brexit, I thought the league was really going to be able to capitalise on keeping younger players at home for longer and developing their own talent. But I think the past sort of maybe couple of years, I've probably changed my opinion, and I see less and less younger players getting opportunities. And I don't know if this is backed up with facts or anything, but I would imagine the average age of the league has probably increased over the past couple of years. I think clubs, Shamrock Rovers, Derry, Pats, etc., clubs with a bit more financial backing now, or maybe that little bit more reluctant to give younger players the opportunities that maybe they were afforded a couple of years ago. And there's sort of a bit of a race for clubs to chase those European spots and with that secure the finances that comes along with it. So I think younger players are sort of being sacrificed for the want of chasing those European places. And like I say, I don't know if it's factual or not, but I think there's a growing trend for more experienced players in the league than there was maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
In the past, even I have to put my hands up on this one. Fans would often question the evaluations of players when they move from Ireland to other countries, believing that our league players are probably undervalued. Is it realistic to expect our players to move to a league for more than, say, £500,000?
Probably not, in all honesty. And I think that is until the league becomes more, I suppose, competitive and more on an even footing, then you're never going to get that. There's still clubs in the League of Ireland, in the Premier Division, that are part-time, so it's very hard for, maybe me sitting watching a League of Ireland game on Friday night over here in London, like, to maybe get a proper, true opinion on a player, because you could be coming up against, Derry City, Shamrock Rovers. The standard is very high, but if Derry City are playing, UCD, Finn Harps, Drogheda, etc., these are part-time clubs, so it's very hard to maybe form a true opinion and get a true valuation of a player when you're coming up against high caliber opposition one week in Rovers or Pats and then maybe not as good following 2 or 3 weeks.
Now we're in July. A lot of players are coming towards the end of their contracts, because obviously we operate from, the start of the year right in towards November, and they have the opportunity to talk to other clubs. The agents then start scouting out their players to play in the League of Ireland, or is it a case the clubs that approach the agents about taking on these players with a couple of months left?
So we've got a fairly good reputation in the League of Ireland now at the minute. So we would constantly have conversations with clubs in England and in Europe, further afield, etc., about our client base as a whole, really. So we would always have these conversations with clubs and sort of know what players are looking at, what players fit the manager's profile in terms of how they play, etc. So we get a fair feel for who was looking at what player, etc. And everything is about forward planning, really. And, most clubs have report after report after report done on a player. We're actually making a move for the player, So, like I say, January can be a wee bit more of a plug and hole and a scattergun approach, but certainly heading into the July window, the summer window now, homework is done, and you could be on a club needing a centre midfielder. They'll probably have about 10 targets for that one position, and the balancing act is you never know if you're number 1 choice or number 5 or 6 choice, and it's about being patient with them as well,
I'm only talking hypothetical here, and as are you, because we don't really know the details. Like, I'm going to use Brian Maher as an example. Brian Maher's been linked with clubs going as far back as last season. Say, for example, he was to move on during this window. Would Derry City Football Club enlist you to not only, as an agent, hypothetically, to help get them the best deal when trying to move them out, or is it just about representing the player?
Yeah, no, we don't specifically do that now. To be fair, we're only on the player representation side, but there are agents out there that don't look after any players, that only work on the club's behalf. So using Brian Maher as an example, if Derry City are keen to sell him or want to get as much money as possible for him, then yes, they could potentially enlist the help of an agent to go and the best possible transfer fee for them out there with, by looking for clubs in Europe, England, etc., etc.
And last question, because I know your time's precious and everything, Shaun, I do appreciate you giving up your time. What advice would you give to a young Irish player that's got their heads full of dreams of wanting to go and play abroad?
Listen, the younger they are, I would just say, look, enjoy your football. Simple as that. Dream big, but make sure you're putting in the hard hours, no shortcuts. Everybody wants to sort of emulate Lionel Messi and all the superstars, but it doesn't happen without the sacrifices, and somebody, watching the Euros now, somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo still going at 38, 39, he's somebody that, yes, he's got natural ability, but the work that he puts in off the pitch on a daily basis to become better and better and better, that's the sort of sacrifices that you have to make.
Shaun Shields, Quorum Sports, thank you very much for taking the time to speak this here in Drive 105.
Cheers, thanks, Dee.